Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to explain the DPLL algorithm for SAT solving. The video is divided into 4 parts. First is what is SAT solving, the DPLL properties, DPLL logic, and DPLL algorithm. So let's get started. Firstly, what is SAT solving? The Boolean satisfiability problem or propositional satisfiability problem, which is abbreviated as SAT, is the problem of determining if there exists an interpretation that satisfies a given Boolean formula. In other words, it asks whether the variables of a given Boolean formula can be consistently replaced by the values true or false in such a way that the formula evaluates to true. If this is the case, the formula is called satisfiable. On the other hand, if no such assignment exists, the function expression by the formula is false for all possible variable assignments, and the formula is unsatisfiable. For example, the formula A and not B is satisfiable because one can find the values A equal to true and B equal to false, which makes A and not B equal to true. In contrast, A and not A is unsatisfiable. That is the first problem that was proven to be NP complete. Now, for SAT problem, a few notations are important. Firstly, a literal is a single proposition or its negation, which is P or not P. A clause is a disjunction of literals, which is represented by this expression here. Formula is a conjunctive normal form or CNF. If AI is a clause, this is how we represent a formula. F formula is satisfiable if there exists at least one valid interpretation, and F is unsatisfiable if there exists none, as explained earlier. Now, the DPLL algorithm is an improvement over the naive or the simple backtracking algorithm. A simple backtracking algorithm could work as follows. We pick a variable without an assigned truth value. If there are none, return SAT. The next step is to assign it a truth value, which is true or false. Then we check if all clauses in our formula are still potentially satisfiable. If they are, we go to step 1. If they are not satisfiable, go to step 2 and pick the other truth value. If they are not satisfiable and both truth values have been tried, backtrack. If there is no way to backtrack, we return unsat, that the formula is unsatisfiable. Now, clearly, this algorithm is very inefficient. To this algorithm, we modify this algorithm by using unit resolution and pure literal elimination, which will be explained in detail in the further course of this video. By adding these two tricks to our backtracking solver, we can re-implement a DPLL solver. The DPLL algorithm properties. The DPLL is complete, correct, and guaranteed to terminate. DPLL constructs a model if one exists. Further, in general, DPLL requires exponential time. In all SAT competitions so far, DPLL-based procedures have shown the best performance. Now we'll move on to the next section, which explains the DPLL logic.
The purpose of a DPLL algorithm is to establish satisfiability or unsatisfiability of a propositional formula. DPLL is currently the basis of many SAT solvers. What's the idea of a DPLL algorithm? We first apply unit resolution as long as possible. Here, applying unit resolution means that as long as a clause occurs consisting of a single literal L, then we may remove all not L from all clauses containing not L. And simultaneously, we also remove all clauses containing L since they are redundant. We denote this by unit resolution in the algorithm. If one cannot proceed with unit resolution or trivial observations, then we choose a variable p and introduce case analysis on p and not p, so that in one case we add p to the formula and then continue by it, and in the other case we add not p to the formula and then continue by it recursively. The definition of this algorithm always holds, since in every recursive call the number of variables decreases. The number of variables decreases because if we add unit clause p and we do unit resolution on p, after this unit resolution p doesn't occur anymore. So at least one variable is completely removed from this resolution. If satisfiable is returned by the algorithm, then you can see that all the involved unit clauses yield a satisfying assignment. So then we have proved that a formula is satisfiable. In the remaining case, we consider the algorithm as finding a big case analysis, and if never satisfiable is returned, then it's a big case analysis ending at every case in the empty clause being a contradiction. So we can say that we have split the whole formula in several cases and every case yields a contradiction that has proved the formula is unsatisfiable. So DPLL is a complete method to establish satisfiability. Let us consider an example. Here we have 9 clauses and we want to establish whether this formula is satisfiable or not. We see that no unit resolution is possible since none of the 9 clauses is a unit clause. So we have to choose a variable and do a case analysis on this variable. Let's choose the variable p. That means if we add p as an extra clause, we can do unit resolution. The two red clauses contain not p, so that we can do unit resolution and we may remove not p from these two clauses, yielding to new unit clauses, not s and not r. But now we may do a unit resolution on these new clauses, not s and not r. Now we have q and t. If we look at the red clause not q or not t, and we have our clause q, we can derive a new clause not t. But now we see that we have t and not t, which yields a contradiction. It can be seen as a unit resolution step, but in any case we derived the empty clause. So this ends this first case in which we have added p. In the remaining case we have to add not p. Well, if we add not p, we can do unit resolution on the two red clauses p or r and p or s, yielding to two new unit clauses r and s. Using r and s, we can derive two new unit clauses q and t. Using q and the clause not q or not t, we can derive a new unit clause not t. Now we have both the unit clause t and not t, yielding the empty clause. So also in the second case, we have derived a contradiction. So in the both cases, we found a contradiction showing that the formula is unsatisfiable.
In this segment, we're going to look at the pseudocode for DPLL algorithm and the ways in which we can make DPLL more effective algorithm. So let's start. Firstly, we're going to look at the basic DPLL algorithm. Input will be a proposition in conjunctive normal form and output will be true if P is satisfiable, false if P is not. Now let's look at the algorithm. It basically consists of 4 parts. We're going to look at it step by step. Firstly, we're going to see if P is consistent or not. If P is consistent, it means that it does not contain any contradictions like A and negation of A. A and negation of A cannot be true at the same time. So P should not consist of any such contradictions. Next, we are going to look at empty clause, whether P consists of any empty clauses or not. It may happen that due to the iterations of the DPLL algorithm and simplifications are made, P may contain an empty clause. If such is the case, then P is unsatisfiable. Next, we're going to look at the unit clause. We're going to search for all the unit clauses in P, and we're going to assign the right truth value to that literal. Once we assign that right truth value to the literal, we're going to simplify P by removing all the clauses whose truth value is known. After that, we are going to look for the pure literal. Pure literal is a literal which has only one polarity. We are going to look for all the pure literals in the simplified proposition, and we're going to assign the value true if it is a positive literal, false if it is a negative literal. After that, we are going to move on to the final step, which is the backtracking step. This is a step in which we're going to choose a variable, or basically a random variable out of all the literals whose value has not been assigned. We're going to choose a variable and we're going to assign a value either true or false. And we're going to again see whether P is satisfiable or not. If P is satisfiable, then the recursion will be stopped. If P is not satisfiable, then we're going to backtrack. We are going to apply the opposite value to that literal, and we're going to again see if P is satisfiable or not. This is the backtracking step which takes place through recursions. Now let's take a look at an example and see how the DPL algorithm works. Let's say these are all the clauses which needs to be checked, or we need to find a solution for all these clauses. A bar plus B plus C, A plus C plus D, A plus C plus D bar, and so on and so forth. Now, since we know that there are no unit of pure literals present in those clauses, so what we're going to do is we're going to look for a random variable, say A, and we're going to assign it a value. Suppose A is equals to false. As soon as we apply that value, we see that all the green clauses become true. A naught plus B plus C will be true. A naught plus B plus C bar will be true. A naught plus B bar plus C will be true. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to similarly keep on picking variables and keep on assigning values until and unless we reach a conflict. For example, as soon as we apply a value of b is equal to 0 and c is equal to 0, we reach a conflict of interest. A plus c plus d and a plus c plus d bar are unsatisfiable. A plus c plus d will give me d is equal to 1, while a plus c plus d bar will give me d is equals to 0. Now d is equals to 1 and d is equals to 0 cannot be true at the same time. So this leads to conflict of interest, and this is where backtracking starts. Now we are going to backtrack the previous variable, which is c is equals to 0, and assign it the value c is equals to 1. On assigning the value c is equals to 1, we again reach a conflict of interest, where d is becoming 1 and d is becoming 0 at the same time, which is not possible. Now we again backtrack to the previous level, which is b is equal to 0, and now we apply it a value of b is equal to 1. Now as we move on ahead with the backtracking algorithm or DPLL algorithm, we see that we again reach a conflict of interest where on applying c is equals to 0, again we reach a conflict of d is equal to 1 and d is equal to 0 at the same time. We again backtrack, we apply a value of c is equals to 1, and we see that we again reach a conflict of interest. We now backtrack to the uppermost level, which is a is equals to 0. Now we apply a is equals to 1 and move ahead with the DPLL algorithm. On moving ahead with the steps of DPLL algorithm, we see that the final implication graph will be like that, where on applying a is equal to 1 and b is equal to 1, we see that we find a solution where all the clauses can be satisfied. The solution will be a is equal to 1, c is equal to 1, d is equal to 1, and b is equal to 1. For all these values, the above proposition will be true. Now, so this is how a DPL algorithm works, using backtracking and simplification of propositions by assigning values to the variables. But there are certain setbacks to this DPL algorithm. And so the next step is that we're going to see the time complexity. The worst case time complexity is still O of 2 to the power n, and the worst case space complexity is O of n. So we need to find out ways how to make it more effective. So let's look at on how can we make DPLL more effective. We see that there are several steps of DPLL in which we see that literals are to be removed from a formula. When we deal with millions of clauses, these steps become tediously infeasible and becomes really slow. So what we use, instead what we do is that we use partial valuation. Partial valuations, what partial valuation does is that instead of removing a literal, we simply set its value to f. Now, what this does is that as soon as we set its value, the negation of that value is all the negation of that variable has also a truth value set. So this saves a lot of unnecessary steps. The next thing we can do is that it does not make any sense that we need to go through the formula again and again and again and count the number of literals in each clause. When we deal with the millions of clauses, this will slow down the step very much. So what we need to do is that we need to come up with an efficient data structure so that this above step of counting the literals becomes feasible. Also, what we can do is that we can go for a heuristic approach. Then when we try to split a variable, when we look for the splitting rule in which we try to pick a variable at random, instead of picking at random, we might choose the right variable using the right heuristic. That can help a lot in saving the runtime for the algorithm. People have come up with such heuristics, but we need to make sure that computing of heuristic isn't too expensive. So these are the steps in which we can make DPLL more effective. Now, that's all from DPLL. This is all about DPLL algorithm. It was a collaborative effort by Saransh, Prashant, and Bandhan. Thank you.